Around the world, we've been seeing a strange phenomenon that so far science has been unable to explain definitively. Well, it's here again, this time in the Lone Star State. We all know Texas is probably best known for its cowboys and cattle, but wait until you see this.
June 5th, 2019. It's dusk in the West Texas desert outside the town of Marfa, about 400 miles from the capital of Austin. Margaret Collier is with her family on the side of the road, hoping to see something that has been reported for well over 100 years. And just as the sun begins to go down, she captures this. Bright glowing orbs appear on the horizon that begin to twinkle and then disappear.
It's like flickering and changing colors.
I think the big surprise moment for me was when they really started, lighting up and splitting off and all the different colors showing up. That was the most exciting for me.
Then as night falls, Margaret continues to film the lights dancing over the desert plains.
I was just so mesmerized by it. It would be really cool if it was something paranormal or alien related.
What are these strange balls of energy? Journalist MJ Banias explains this mysterious phenomenon is known as the Marfa lights.
The Marfa lights fall into a broader category of light phenomena we often refer to as ghost lights. Ghost lights are these anomalous sources of light that appear and disappear at random in a given area. People have no idea where they come from.
Banias explains that ever since the first documented case of the lights was reported by a cowhand back in 1883, there have been plenty of theories as to what they could be.
The local indigenous group in the area, the Apache, believe that these lights are the ghost of a long-dead chief named Asalte. According to the legend, Asalte was killed by a Mexican firing squad in 1882. And what people are seeing is his ghost roaming through the territory for some unfinished business.
But while many experts believe there must be a more scientific explanation, Banias says exactly what they could be is up for debate.
They would say that this is some sort of other light phenomena, whether it's some sort of electromagnetic phenomenon, humidity mixing with electricity in the air, causing sparks. But between these different theories, supernatural versus natural, we still don't really know what causes the Marfa lights. It still remains a mystery to this day.
So what do we have here? It has been said that if you ask 100 different people what the Marfa lights are, you will get 100 different answers. In fact, many come together each summer for the Marfa Lights Festival. But admittedly, that's more of a party than a scientific conference. For that angle, we'll need to ask our experts what they think.
We begin with astronomer and video effects designer Mark D'Antonio. Is there a logical explanation? Is this simply car lights in the distance?
I don't think so. What we watch here, these lights are pretty stationary, and the Marfa lights have been seen for over 100 years, and we didn't have cars and highways back then.
Could this then be a natural event? D'Antonio explains.
Maybe it could be static discharge, lights generated by the planet because of static charge, current being generated by rushing water in through a particular rock strata. It's like when you rub your feet in the carpet and you touch something.
While D'Antonio can't rule out static discharge, most of us associate flashes of light and electrical activity with the weather. So is this an atmospheric event? We take that question to meteorologist Juan Hernandez.
When light is created by the atmosphere, it comes from electrical charges, such as lightning. It's a very big flash, something that is very quick to happen and then disappears. But to get storms, we need moisture. We need plenty of shear. We need something to move across the region to create those storms. In this case, it's a clear day, which would rule out the possibility of an atmospheric phenomenon causing these lights.
While Hernandez rules out weather above ground, D'Antonio notes another theory comes from below. Are gases from beneath the ground being released and igniting from tectonic forces?
The theory is that lights that are generated by some type of electrical energy, coupled with some magnetic influences perhaps underground, that ends up becoming visible in the air as some type of lit phenomenon. Certainly something is glowing.
But Hernandez isn't so sure.
Tectonic activity is unlikely to have caused these lights because in reality, There is no significant tectonic movement in the Marfa region. It all is associated across the West Coast and some portions of the East Coast.
What's exciting is nobody really knows. That's cool. And so I think the Marfa lights are really a true modern mystery that we don't have answers to.
Our verdict, we're going with unexplained phenomenon. Like we've seen before with similar mysterious unexplained lights around the world, there are too many theories to settle on just one. But that doesn't mean we're going to stop trying. So the next time you're traveling through Marfa, Texas, be sure to stop on the side of the road and get us more footage to investigate.
It's December 2021 in Elberton, Georgia. Musician Jason Stallworth is on a road trip when he comes across a peculiar sight and decides to film it.
I'll show you something really cool that maybe many of you have never seen before and you probably don't even know about, but these are the Georgia Guidestones. This is like for post-apocalypse living.
The strange structure is composed of 4 granite slabs connected by a T-shaped stone pillar in the middle. From above, it seems to form an X with a capstone. The monument is over 19 feet tall and is believed to weigh over 120 tons.
It's like Stonehenge of Georgia here.
On each tablet is writing in different languages, which journalist Aaron McCarthy says just adds to the mystery.
There are 10 guidelines written in 8 languages, including Chinese, Swahili, Hebrew, English, and Russian, for how to continue society after some kind of apocalyptic event. It also has slots as well as holes in the monument that allow it to act as an astronomical calendar.
Since the Guidestones were put up toward the end of the Cold War, some wonder if they were meant as messages for the future of humanity following nuclear annihilation. But McCarthy says the cryptic writing is far from the strangest thing about this structure.
No one seems to know who commissioned it or why. The story goes that one day in 1979, a man named Robert C. Christian, not his real name, walked into the Elberton Granite Finishing Company with the idea for a monument. And he said that he was serving as a representative for a, quote, small group of loyal Americans who had been planning this monument for 20 years.
R.C. Christian was a pseudonym, so to this day, no one knows who actually commissioned the structure. This mystery has further fueled speculation about its true purpose.
The guidelines on the stones included maintain humanity under 500 million in balance with nature. Some have actually criticized these guidelines and said that they are in favor of genocide and eugenics. And then, of course, there was an idea that R.C. Christian was actually a representative of a satanic group.
The monument has been called the 10 Commandments of the Antichrist due to the evident biblical connotations in its design without any reference to God. There's even a theory it was built as an altar for human sacrifice. So some people, including a Georgia gubernatorial candidate, have even called it an abomination that had to come down.
It is a war between good and evil.
Well, recently they got their wish. In early July 2022, someone planted a bomb overnight that exploded next to the structure. Take a look at the security cam. It couldn't be more clear. Here, we see the person moving in from the left, ducks in behind the monument, places something down, and then gets the hell out of there. Fast forward a couple of seconds later, boom! The structure remains standing in this footage, but it was so severely damaged that the whole thing had to be demolished.
Anthropologist Kathy Strain examines if this could be a satanic altar.
I went and looked for satanic temples constructed in the United States, and I found one. It's literally Satan sitting on a throne. And so there's nothing here that I see that would remind me of what I would traditionally associate with something satanic.
Archaeologist Dr. Ed Barnhart agrees.
Satanism generally deals with the pentagram. The goat is also another symbol, but none of those symbols are anywhere on the Georgia Guidestones.
So could this monument have been built by those calling for eugenics and racial purity? To Strain, that doesn't add up.
There are multiple different languages from multiple different continents. Why would you do that if you were intending to create basically a white society? All these guides would all be in English.
So given the Guidestones' post-apocalyptic message, could this simply be a relic of the Cold War era?
The time period in which these were built is the 1980s. And that's when the United States and Russia are in this terrible Cold War.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Fearing nuclear annihilation from each other. And whoever built this built it in a motivation that the world and humanity were going to have to start again.
Our verdict? It's still unknown who created this strange structure and why. It's possible the people behind it thought humanity would need the guidelines to rebuild after a nuclear apocalypse. But now we know it's unlikely to have survived Armageddon since a regular homemade bomb is already reduced it to rubble.
It's spring 2022 in one of the largest suburbs of Buenos Aires, González Catón, Argentina. Passengers are waiting to board the local metro when suddenly disaster strikes. As the security camera rolls, we see a blue metro train arriving at a station with numerous passengers on the platform waiting to board. Then a woman in white stumbles towards the platform and then fully collapses directly in between two train cars. Now, we wouldn't show you this if it didn't have a happy ending, but take another look. She falls face forward through the narrow gap and onto the tracks below. Her fall timed perfectly with the passing of the gap. The onlookers are shocked and cover their faces in dismay. But soon, emergency responders arrive and are able to pull the woman out, safe and sound. Author Heidi Hollis believes this was no mere coincidence.
I think there was a higher power at work here that may have intervened and helped the situation along to end up the way that it did.
Could this be video evidence of divine intervention? While the number of total claims is unknown, the Vatican has confirmed roughly 1,500 miracles since the 1500s. Hollis says this video should make you a believer too.
There's this wonderful idea that we have guardian angels, which are divine beings from God that make sure that we don't leave this earth before our time. I really think that her guardian angel spared her.
Hollis also considers if this may be proof that humans have a biological sixth sense to protect themselves.
It had to be so precise and so perfect. Had she not gone limp, had she not collapsed the way that she did, there's no way she would have come out unscathed. She might not have made it.
We've been taught that humans have 5 senses: touch, taste, smell, sight, and hearing. But there is another semi-sense, proprioception, which helps us track where our bodies are in space. Could this additional sense be what saved this woman's life? Let's see what our experts think.
First, forensic video analyst Michael Primo takes a look to see if the video is even real.
Based on the physical aspects of the scene, the woman is definitely in the video. There is multiple subjects that she travels past, position of shadow and light information that would have been difficult to fabricate with a lower quality video like this.
So if the video is real, could this be evidence of a miracle?
When we look at the definition of miracles, we look at things that are rare and unexplained. But more importantly, the things that are worked for the good. In this case, this woman's life is spared in a dramatic way. This is clearly worked for the good. And the mere fact that she had such a rare occurrence, we have to say that this might qualify as a miracle.
Yet O'Neill says the Catholic Church does not declare miracles lightly.
When it comes to the investigation of miracles by the Vatican, there's just not enough proof. When we talk about healing miracles, we have the disease before and the lack of disease after. So in the case of this woman falling into a train, could there be any test to prove it's a miracle? There's no such test. We just have to take it on faith, perhaps.
So it's possible we're witnessing a true miracle, but is there any evidence angels could have been involved?
The concept of guardian angels, or angels in general, is pervasive across many religions, whether that's Christianity, Judaism, Islam. We have this idea of angels walking amongst us. 2 very recent popes have spoken about guardian angels in existence. But here there's no proof that in fact an angel is present. We can only go by the chances of death of somebody tumbling into a train. Perhaps there's an angel here, but we may never know.
Physicist Dr. Michio Kaku says the body itself is the miracle, specifically that power of proprioception.
Proprioception is the ability to unconsciously manipulate the human body in 3 dimensions in order to avoid danger or to perform certain miraculous tasks. So it's not a guardian angel, it's not a fairy godmother. Your body instinctively takes over and unconsciously understands where your arms and legs are and guides your motion in 3 dimensions.
So while this woman's sixth sense may have guided her, Kaku can't rule out she may just be very lucky.
Is it possible to quantify luck? And the answer is yes. In fact, we physicists do this all the time. You look at all possible outcomes and you calculate the probability of each outcome taking place, and that allows you to mathematically calculate the probability that certain unlikely miraculous events will happen.
Our verdict, we're gonna call this an unofficial possible miracle. Sure, we could just chalk the perfectly timed fall up to 1 in a million luck or proprioception, but for the woman to come away essentially unharmed, you can have your own opinion, but I'm thinking a higher power may be involved.
It's 1999 near Nebra, Germany. 2 German looters are ransacking the site of an archaeological excavation in Middelburg Hill when they come across a treasure trove of Bronze Age artifacts. They quickly sell the goods on the black market, and in 2002, a police raid on an art collection brings to light a truly unique item from the stash. Take a good look. This photo, taken after the loot was recovered, shows a 10-inch circular object about the size of a vinyl record. It's adorned with 32 golden circles, a larger circle, a crescent shape, and an arc on its circumference. A smaller arc on the left side has gone missing. There's a smaller rainbow-shaped golden arch upside down near the bottom. Science journalist Amy Title says this now famous object is known as the Nebra Sky Disk.
It's got a full circle and a crescent that looks like it's meant to be the sun and a crescent moon. And there's these 2 sides that could be marking seasons or could be marking a horizon. These smaller circles could potentially be stars.
Experts believe that it dates back to around 1800 BC. And if it does in fact show celestial symbols, it could be the oldest star map known to man.
Many wonder if this isn't showing an older civilization having settled earlier than expected. If you were to lay this disc down on an altar, the arcs on the side would line up to show you roughly the equinox, which could tell you when you need to plant crops. One hypothesis about this disc is that it comes from a very advanced race living in the Bronze Age. For some, that leads to the question of whether or not they were somehow involved in alien technology, because these people were doing things that were far more advanced than any other cultures.
Others speculate that this disc has a connection to another mysterious source, a little-known Scandinavian sun cult whose name has been lost to history. Followers of this esoteric Nordic religion were sun worshippers who portrayed solar symbols frequently in rock carvings and other art. So let's see if our experts can shed some light on what, if anything, their beliefs could have to do with this sky disk.
There's ample evidence that ancient humans had knowledge of astronomy, as seen in famous sites like Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, and Chichen Itza, so they probably didn't need extraterrestrial help. But anthropologist Kathy Strain wonders if this artifact is connected to cultures known for their astronomical observations. Could the Nebra Sky Disk actually be an accurate star map?
We have the 7 sisters of the Pleiades right here, and it's an indicator that whenever the crescent moon was at this 3/4 and you could see the Pleiades, that you needed to add on to your calendar a leap month so that you could keep your agriculture correct.
But archaeologist Dr. Ed Barnhart isn't quite sure that's what we're seeing here.
One of the things that distinguish the Pleiades from some of the other stars is that they're less bright. If they were trying to depict a map of the sky, they would not make the Pleiades as bright and large as the other stars. Even just this sun and the moon here, it is physically impossible for this arrangement to be this close in a single view. It is not a map through which anyone could match it to the sky.
But since some claim this disc was able to keep track of the equinoxes, could it have been some sort of ancient calendar?
The smaller you try to make a circle like this to observe the sun, the more exact position you have to be in. Something this small a scale can't really function as an observatory.
Then is it possible this could simply be an elaborate piece of ancient artwork?
The fact that this is predominantly copper with bronze as kind of flare points towards it being an object of art. Copper is not good for making tools. If we look at all of the Bronze Age objects that we have, there are more pieces of art and jewelry than there are weapons and tools.
But given the object's sketchy origins, is there a chance this could just all be a hoax?
There are people who have claimed that the looters themselves created this as a hoax in order to get more money. However, the soil adhering to the back of it matched the exact location where the looters said they got it. And you cannot fake the patina that is on this bronze piece. We know it's very old based on that. So I personally don't believe that it is a hoax.
Our verdict, this is almost certainly an authentic ancient artifact depicting astronomical bodies. However, it is still up for debate whether it is the world's oldest star map or just a piece of decorative art.